Welcome to Counter-Strike. Today, I'll be going over the 5 levels of warming up in CS2 to help you learn the game, improve quicker, and always be in top form for competitive games. If you take anything away from this video, try not to be a level 1 player. So what is level 1? I know a lot of us are guilty of this, including myself, but level 1 is using your first game as the warm-up. You probably already know this isn't the greatest idea. I personally play noticeably worse on my first game if I haven't used some of the higher level warm-up strategies. It isn't a good feeling being at the bottom of the leaderboard. It's important to note sometimes level 1 is okay. You don't always have time for much playing, and if you only have time for one game, you should just play the game. It's understandable and isn't the end of the world. However, if you know you have the time, using some higher level warm-up techniques will help you improve much quicker. So, Level 2. Level 2 is using official Valve deathmatch servers to warm up your aim before playing a competitive match. This can be a great tool to get into form quickly before your games. I think you will see a noticeable improvement to the first few rounds of your game if you have already warmed up your aim before playing. And with pistol rounds being so important in MR12, this is great. Valve deathmatch does have its downsides, and that's why level 2.5 is using a workshop map like aimbots. These maps are pretty great for warming up your aim in a more quick-fire way, and you don't need to rely on anyone else for these maps to be a great warm-up. You can use these maps to practice your aim, your spray patterns, and your flicks with multiple weapons, all within a short time span. It doesn't matter if you use these tools for 5 minutes a day or an hour a day. You will start to notice improvement not only for your first game of a session, but also for your aim overall, as this is something you can always be improving. Aimbots is a great map, and I recommend that everyone should use it as it's so easy to use for 5 minutes every Counter-Strike session. Now, Level 3. Aimbots is great and all, but you really need to be practicing against human opponents to get the most out of your warm-up in CS2. And the best way to do this is community servers. CS2 has been out for a while now, so we finally have decent community server support. This means there are lots of choices out there. I recommend retake servers. Retake servers are great for practicing both aim and game sense in a situation that you will experience in every real game you play. I personally use xplay.gg to find both retake and deathmatch servers, but there are lots of options out there. You will get to practice defending and retaking sites with many different weapons such as pistol, force and full buy rounds, and get to learn the best ways to win rounds for both T and CT side. This isn't as good as aimbots necessarily for practicing raw aim, but being able to practice game sense in a real situation is super important as well, and that's what makes this level 3 over something like aimbots. There is also no time limit here. You can play for 5 minutes or an hour, and either way you will see improvement in lots of areas of your gameplay. So we are on to level 4. At this point you are probably mixing multiple levels together, and this is super important. You can't just practice retakes without using something like aimbots every now and then and expect to improve as fast as someone using all 5 levels. So level 4 is using private games to explore maps, learning utilities such as smokes and pop flashes, and discovering new ways to both execute and hold sites that will level you up compared to your opponents. At this point it isn't good enough to just watch a smoke guide and think to yourself, I think I'll remember that for my next game, because most of the time you will forget the lineups before your next game. You should be going into a private match and actually throwing the smokes yourself to build up the memory. You can also experiment with making your own lineups at this level. Find something that works for you. There are hundreds of ways to throw smokes in this game, and you can easily find something that no one has used before to use in your own games to catch people off guard. If you can practice smoke lineups for just 10 minutes a day, you will be surprised how quickly you start to master some maps, remembering a dozen or more smokes for each map in the map pool, and being the teammate that everyone is grateful to have alongside them. With just a small amount of great lineups, you will see more rounds won, more enemies flashed, and much more utility damage in all of your games, for not all that much work put in. This is super essential for reaching the higher ranks of Counter-Strike. Again, you can't just only practice smokes and nothing else. You still need to warm up your aim if you want to be playing at your best in this game. But to take it to the next level, implementing a smoke regiment into your warm-up is a great idea. Now, we finally arrive at level 5. To be honest, level 5 isn't for everyone, and lots of great players will only be at level 4 themselves. But to get to level 5, you need to be analysing the demos of your previous games. CS2 has demos re-enabled at this point, so this is actually quite easy to do, although it does take quite a long time compared to other levels in this guide. Every professional player does this, and it's one of the things that takes them to the next level. Watch your demos from your perspective. I recommend taking notes even. Try to note down the things you see you could have done better. We aren't here to talk about the positives. We want to know how to improve. Am I losing aim battles too often? Failing to trade teammates when the option was available? This kind of stuff. You have to be super harsh with yourself to note down areas to improve, and then find the solutions to practice your weak spots and bring them up to a new level of consistency. I can assure you, doing this will lead to noticeable improvements quickly as long as you work on the flaws you spot during demo reviews. A quick recap of the 5 levels. Level 1 is essentially no warm-up. Try to keep this at a minimum. Even squeezing in 5 minutes of warm-up will lead to fast improvement. Level 2 is using Valve deathmatch servers to warm up your aim before playing a competitive game. This is great, but we know there are better ways to practice aim than this. That's why we have Level 2.5. Level 2.5 is practicing your aim on workshop maps such as aimbots. This is much faster paced and will lead to more consistency on your aim faster than a conventional deathmatch. Level 3 is using community retake servers to practice both aim and game sense at the same time against real human opponents, getting you used to situations that appear many times in every game you play. Level 4. Use private games to go over smoke lineups, pop flashes and more to really bring your game to the next level. Become the teammate everyone wants on their team. And finally, Level 5. Analyze your past games to find mistakes and areas for improvement, and then actually work on improving those areas. Do this and you will improve faster than anyone else you know. And that's the 5 levels of warming up in Counter-Strike 2. I hope you took something away from this video. If you liked the work I put into this, consider subscribing. And other than that, bye!